didn't have the right technology, didn't have the right contacts, right? Didn't have the right people, didn't have all these things. And in the voice in the darkness, because it's a very dark room, I heard this voice say, when you told me all the reasons why you failed, you told me resources you were lacking. Courage is a resource, right? Time is a resource. Money is a resource. People are a resource. Technology is a resource. But here's the challenge. Resources are never the real problem. We all know it if we look around. Think about it. You get the resources if you're resourceful enough.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another training video. Let me get this light right. Jesus Christ, this videography thing is hard. Alright, so it's been a while since I've done a training video. Reason why I'm kind of trying to still get into this comfortable feel of training and vlogging at the same time. Right now I feel like it's a little bit of a work for me, and I really enjoy training myself, so I gotta get over this fact where it seems like work while I'm vlogging. But anyway, I'm here at the gym today. It's Saturday it's Saturday. It's like 5:30, 6:30 p.m. Let's see what time it is. 6 o'clock. Cool. So let me give you guys a little pep talk, a little briefing about like training and working it around your lifestyle. I'm a full-time person. Like, I have a full-time life. I have a fiance. I have 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and I can still fit in training session, at least 4 to 5 training sessions per week, right? How do I fit all of this in to my hectic schedule? Is I create pockets of time for myself. I always plan ahead each week. Sometimes the weeks change, so I always fill it in with training sessions. I always fill it in. I always make sure that I try to get everything as much as I can. And now the habit of having 4 training sessions per week is super easy. You gotta make this a routine where it's actually part of your lifestyle. And that's one of the biggest things about training, about nutrition, is making it a lifestyle change. Not just a change because you want to do it for a short term, like 2 or 3 months. You're never gonna ever change your health with that kind of mental attitude. So we're training back today. So all my training programs, they're in my head. I always have a goal in mind. I always think about it like an hour ahead or 2 hours or throughout the day. I was like, hey, what am I gonna be training today? And then what am I gonna be focusing on? Okay, my back is pretty wide. I've noticed my lats flare out pretty well, but I'm lacking a lot of middle back thickness to make it protrude from like the side. If somebody looks at me from the back, it looks okay directly from the back, but if you turn it sideways, it looks really flat, right? So that's what I'm gonna be heavily focusing on, kind of training my weaknesses. I rarely ever deadlift. That's the reason why my back is somewhat flat from the side. I do a lot of, I'm changing my volume up in my my deadlifting, and I do the Hex deadlift bars as well, and I'll show you in this training video. All right, guys. Alright guys, so we're moving on to the Hex Bar. So put some 45s on there and then do a couple sets, maybe like 1 or 2 sets to warm up, and then get into the working weight. Alright guys, so we got a better angle from the deadlifts. You can see from my deadlifts with the Hex Bar, it's almost more like a good morning. A slight bend in my knee, and I'm pushing my butt and glutes and hamstrings out, holding a lot of tension all the way through. Moving a little bit fast because it's a warm-up, but I'll slow it down when it gets a little bit heavier. Alright, so 225 is my working set for the deadlifts. And you notice why I have a belt on is because it is high volume, and I did do squats yesterday, and my back is not the strongest part of my body, so I do wear a belt. Alright guys, so absolutely the best way to build mass and size is volume. So you can see I'm going into heavy rack pulls. The reason why we do rack pulls is so that we could put a little bit more weight on the bar, not having to pull from the ground. I think my working sets is at 275. Alright, and here's a little tidbit of a trick or a little nuance that you guys can incorporate in your training as well, is when I'm trying to cut or lean out a little bit, I include a lot of supersetting in my training sessions. What I would do is I'll combine one big exercise, here for example is the rack pulls, and then I'll combine it with some barbell shrugs, with the Hex Bar, or with anything. So you got one big movement and combined with one small movement. Alright guys, moving on to the dumbbells. Every good training session, bodybuilding training session will always include some dumbbell type of work in it. So the reason why I do these kind of just standing there without there, it just helps engage my core a little bit more and build this upper back or middle back thickness that I really want in my back. Alright, you guys are probably wondering, why am I doing biceps on a back training day? The reason why is because anytime you do deadlifts, rows, things like that, pull-ups, pulling movements, you will naturally get a residual pump in your biceps. So I naturally just go ahead and finish it up because I need to take a little bit of break from my lower back, which is pretty taxed right now. And I really do not dedicate a day to arms. I just include it into my other training sessions. And for you guys out there that are beginners going into bodybuilding or just fitness, I see way too many people making mistakes of just dedicating their whole training sessions to biceps and arms. Focus on the bigger movements like the deadlifts, the squats, the bench, and your arms will naturally just grow. Alright guys, so here's a tip for you guys, for everybody that's a beginner or a little bit inexperienced in the gym. To save yourself some time in the gym, you always got to be thinking about 2 steps ahead of your exercise, the current one that you're doing. You got to start looking at the machines and figuring out what you're going to do for the next exercise, what machine you're going to use. Alright, naturally, if you're already thinking ahead, and which I always do, this is one of the strategies I always do, it saves you a ton of time, saves you from just sitting around waiting on different exercises. A lot of people do that, and then they lose that pump, which now you're not as effective. And as you can see towards my training sessions at the end, I start to do a lot more supersetting, a lot of higher reps, lighter weight, which is basically kind of like an extension of my cardio sessions. Alright guys, so for your finisher, this is basically the last exercise of your training session where you have the last opportunity to create that really big pump. So it's going to be a lot lower weights, and a lot higher repetition. So basically a lot more volume. Basically that's the common thing of building muscle. So you can see I don't use a lot of weight in my training session, because what the goal, every good bodybuilder would know, it's not the weight that you use, it's the type of control and resistance that you use to make that weight feel like it's heavy. Alright guys, we just got done with the training session, middle back thickness. So typically when I'm doing a bulk, I'm actually on like a mini cut right now because of the wedding, trying to look a bit leaner. I'm gonna incorporate more cardio. I typically don't do that much cardio, probably do like 0 times a week when I'm bulking. Now I incorporate it like 3 times into my training sessions per week. So 3 choices that I typically do for cardio: stair climber, sprints, or like the prowler push, or just a long walk with my puppy. It's Saturday, it's a nice evening. I'm gonna take a nice little stroll with my puppy. My fiance doesn't get home until like 8:30 today, so I got some time already built in. Until then, I'm gonna walk and do a little cardio. Right now I'm gonna do a little physique check. We're gonna check the back. Not the greatest lighting here in this studio, but I'll show you what I'm working with. All right.